Don't ever let somebody tell you you can't do something. You got a dream, you gotta protect it. You want something, go get it. Period.
Welcome everybody to the For the Love podcast, episode number 2. And I'm here with a good friend named Lewis. Lewis, how are you today?
How you doing, Jay? Thank you for having me here. It's a pleasure. I am for the love campaign here that you have going on. I love the idea. I truly feel like I connect with it. So I support you as a friend, and I support your brand.
That's great. That's great. I'm very happy to hear that. All the support is definitely great. I love it. I love to see people positive and doing good things. That's why I bring you on, because I know I've known you for over the past couple years. We got pretty close. You supported me in times where I needed support, and I think hopefully I've done that for you too.
And likewise, definitely. I work a lot, and I don't have many friends, and I actually ended up befriending a pretty good dude here. It's an odd start to a friendship, but glad we're friends here.
Yeah, absolutely. It's kind of interesting as you get older how you never know how friendships are gonna kind of come about. So this is something where communication kind of comes into play, where you just got to be comfortable with people, understand how to like really connect and listen, and you can build friendships that you never even thought really would come around to that.
And I really think that it's all about just doing what you can for people, like you would have done for you, if you're in a pinch. And that's kind of what I feel needs to be done nowadays. Like, I don't know, just help if you can, man. Why not? Like, we're human beings, we're here in this life together, we're not individuals, we're all connected in some kind of way,
Yeah, absolutely. That's a big belief of mine, where it's kind of hard for me when I see what goes on in the world every day, and all the negativity and all that stuff, because I look at it and I'm like, damn, like what's really meant to happen, what's supposed to happen is we're all supposed to work together. That's what the plan was, I'm pretty sure. And to not see that happening, and to really understand that that's what probably is the solution to most things, and we can't get it right, is crazy to me.
I mean, like, human beings are human beings, everybody's going to have their differences, and that's probably why you have that. Mm-hmm. But it's up to the people who know better to try to teach the ones who don't,
Very true, very true. That's why I try, like, now as I get older, I value connections and relationships so much differently than I did when I was younger. And that to me is like so significant to my life now, because of the things that it's brought me, the value that it's brought me. So I as I get older, I start to see how much more value there is in people, But at the same time, you have to somewhat kind of bring that out of people,
I mean, and that's what I'm here. I'm here to share that kind of idea with you, because I feel like I have that personality where I can motivate someone to bring the best out of themselves, even if they don't see the opportunity to do so. I will help guide them, and just pointing out things that they can do or they shouldn't be doing. It's...
Yeah, but it's funny that you say that, because it's very hard for people to deal with that now. So, like, what I mean is, you have a personality where, like, you're not afraid to tell somebody, like, oh, hey, man, that's wrong. You know what I mean? Like, but you're doing it in a helpful way. But in this generation, not a lot of people can deal with that. Do you come across that all the time?
I've come across some people who I wish I could have taught better earlier. I'll give you an example. A kid who was 23 years old, carpenter, fence layer, he had gotten a girl pregnant, and she had 2 kids prior, and she was a little bit older than him. He settled down with her, and he really wasn't ready to do it. And he had the baby. He had problems. Separated from her, and he left her.
Why?
He couldn't do it.
Well, let me ask you this.
He left.
Did he voice
took
these
off.
concerns to you? Was he nervous prior?
He wasn't. He gave me the whole spiel. He gave me the whole, I'm going to be here for my kid. I'm going to do this. I'm going to do that. Thank you for giving me that advice. But he took off on his girl, man. And that's just something that you don't do. I mean, I didn't explain that to him, but I wish I did.
Yeah, but it's almost common sense. No.
It is, but some guys don't know that. You don't do things like that. You need to stick by your guns.
Yeah.
You can't just do something like that to a female and then just walk away. Like, that's the worst. I have 2 kids of my own, and I can't picture doing that.
Well, that's why now you have a lot of women that have these defenses and these traumas in their life because men have broken them or left them with children, and they had to be single mothers and this and that. I mean, I was raised by a single mom, so I kind of understand how much value I have and how much respect I have for that. But at the same time, I have a great relationship with my father, and he's a good dad too. So, but it's just interesting to see how grown human beings can have actions such as those. You know what I mean? I can never picture having a child and then just leaving that child. It's just odd to me. But you see it all the time. You see it happen more often than not now. It's wild.
You know what I think it is? I think that some guys get lost between the thought of, I can't do it and I have to do it. There's sometimes there's no choice.
What about I don't want to do it?
Well, that's even worse.
That's definitely there.
That's even worse. That's the kind of people who are the problems to the society.
Oh,
who
absolutely.
don't want to. Like, then why do that? Then why go ahead and lay down with a woman, knowing what kind of consequences could occur if you're going to be the type that'll just back out and make your son or daughter another statistic. That's not wanting to leave a legacy. That's not wanting to help.
Yeah, you should want some respect on your name. Really.
Yes, absolutely.
I mean? You should want people to look at your children and respect your children on top of it. And look at them and say, wow, they're good kids. They, not that they're not going to be, but this society tends to look down on those children. You know what I mean? And pity them. And you're the reason for that. But it is what it is. You see that it's very hard to change these things in society. Very hard. But you're a married man, 2 kids, right?
That's right. I have a 2-year-old daughter, and my son will be 5. Real soon. So they're real small. They still look at me like I'm the hero, and I wish I could just tell them that they're my heroes. It's not the other way around.
That's what I hear.
They saved me. You know what I'm saying? They look at me like I'm a hero, and I'm the big man and all, and I look at them like, yo, you guys saved me, man. You know what kind of guy I used to be.
You know what? You know how you say that, and this is why I brought you on, because this whole show is kind of what I'm building around is people that I have seen maybe struggle or has helped me or I helped them, and now they're doing really well, and that story is great for people to hear. And we're all normal people. We're not celebrities. We're not we're not on TV, and this is all where we all get our information from. But with you, the specific reason is why I've seen where you've had some struggles going on. I've seen it. You know what I mean? We've been around each other, and I can see the difference, especially to now, the place you are at. But I felt like the change started when you had your daughter.
That, you know what? It's funny because, I have a different kind of bond with my daughter. And not that I don't love my kids the same. It's that when I had my son, mama's boy right away. So it's like, all right, like, he's good. Like, he's straight. He's all set. He's good. Daddy's cool. And, like, yeah, he would love to get him, daddy's lap, and that's it, though. He goes back to mom. My daughter, on the other hand, man, it was an immediate snap bond. I can't explain it. She stole my heart, man.
Mm-hmm.
It's like, my baby girl, man, and it's very different.
But what did that do? What was that emotion that you were getting from that child, your daughter? How did that push you to change your ways? And like, kind of, for people that don't really know the story, maybe get a little into that.
It just made me realize how special my wife, my mother, my grandma, my aunts, like people like that were, just women in general.
Yeah, I've come across recently, times where I had to really kind of be at a crossroads in life where you have to look into a deep and emotional aspect of yourself. And I came out seeing how much respect I had for women that I didn't realize at the time, and part of that was for the reason that they're so much more in tune with their emotions. It's crazy.
You'll have even more respect for them when you see them almost give up their lives on a bed while they're delivering your child. That has been the most eye-opening experience for me as a father. I've witnessed 2 times my wife almost give up her life right before my eyes in the sake of our kids. I've seen it twice, and it's just, I can't explain it. If you're a father out there, you know what it means, you know what it feels like. It's a gift, and that's why I can't see why a man would walk away from a woman who would put that on the line for them.
True.
It gets me sad in reality.
How did you and your wife meet?
We met. It's funny how we met. This is funny. All right, I'll tell you that. We met through, as a matter of fact, I used to date this girl named Jess, and she was older than me. She was starting to go to college. I was still in high school. And, we broke it off, but we stayed friends. Nothing ever happened. It was just an innocent relationship, a high school kind of, 1 month kind of deal, that kind of deal. We just became friends after that. Anyway, in college, she happened to meet a Pakistani girl. And they were friends, and, they were taking classes together. And I was talking to Jess one day on Facebook. Not on Facebook, I'm sorry. MySpace.
Oh, shit.
Yeah, remember that? MySpace.
Yeah.
And I saw this really pretty picture of this girl who reminded me of this set of singers called Prima J. And I was a big fan of Prima J. They were really cute girls. She reminded me, one of her pictures was the picture she had on profile. So I clicked on her, and I fell in love with her. I was like, oh my God, who is this woman? So I had the guts to text my ex-girlfriend, now friend, who is this girl? She told me, all right, that's my friend B, we're going to call her B. My wife's name is B. She's from Pakistan, she goes to college with me. I was like, wow, that's awesome. I said, tell her, I really like her. She looks amazing, and I really want to talk to her. Jess went ahead and did it. Jess went ahead and told her, this guy likes you, isn't that? So I get a friend request on MySpace, and it's B.
Right.
All right, I accept, and we start chatting. we're chatting, and she gives me some online phone number that she calls me from in school, and I'm sitting there, and because she's trying to protect her identity, she doesn't know there's so many creeps out there,
That's actually a good
So
quality,
I was like, this is a smart
that,
girl.
yeah.
That really is a smart girl. So I go, listen, I really would love to meet you. So after we start talking for a while under that number, she gives me her real number. So I text her, and she calls me, and we start chit-chatting. And about 1 week later, we meet at the movie theater where she works at the time. So, I met her there. I'm like, wow, you're much cooler than I thought. That day I'm thinking, we're friends. We're just friends and everything. She's like, I gotta work. So I wait for her to get out of work, she was cool. I was chatting with her by the box office, it wasn't busy. We're chatting the whole night, and her shift was up before we knew it. We got into that much of a conversation.
That's great.
She was taking people, and I would sit down, or she would set me up to go watch a movie. Yeah. So I spent my whole shift there, and she admitted, she was like, I thought that was kind of odd of you, but I could tell you really liked me. So that day, she walks over with me to my car, trying to show off my busted Honda Civic that I think could race at the time. It's busted piece of crap, but it was a great car. I loved it. It was my first car. She gets in it, and she's like, wow, this is a nice car. It's red and black, my favorite color. And I start talking about all the performance things and all this bullshit and all this. How, all right, this car's this. I got about 175 horsepower. I'm going off, and she just leans forward and she gives me a kiss.
Wow.
And I shut up. I was speechless. I oh boy.
Yeah, not expecting that.
You know what I mean? I was speechless. I was gobbled up. So, after that, I was kind of confused, and I kept coming around the theater, and she kept hanging around me. And a month later, I asked her if, what are we? What are we gonna be? She said, "I'll be your girlfriend." I my pleasure. I'm like, okay, word. I have a girlfriend. You know what I mean? 6-7 months later, she started becoming more serious. She was like, I'm willing to run away with you. Like, if my parents don't let me be with you.
Yeah, that had to be hard work because you're.
Because I didn't want that to happen to her. I didn't want her to be, disowned by her family. I didn't want to disrespect her family.
Was that now? How did that go? I mean, how did you get introduced to them? How was the impressions? Because you're Hispanic.
Okay,
Pakistan.
Her family had found out that we were together.
Right.
Found out that she was seeing somebody, and that he was a non-Muslim. And they didn't like that. They really despised it. They were pissed. So they forbid her from seeing me, and she wasn't having that. So she told me to come to her house. I parked in her driveway. She packed all her clothes, threw it in the back of my trunk, and she took off with me. And mind you, she's 21 years old at the time.
Oh, shit.
So she's old enough to do whatever she wants. She's an adult, and I was 20 years old at the time.
Yeah, but in that culture, that's like unheard of. That's a no-no.
So they stopped.
Okay.
They found my number, my house phone number, to my mother's house, and they called my mother. And they got in touch with my mother and my father. And they were like, listen, we got to have a meeting. We don't want this done the wrong way.
It's respectful.
Let's have a meeting. These two obviously love each other. Let's put them together.
I respect that.
The father, a very brave man.
Wow.
And, I went over there, shit in my pants, really. But, I
by
went
yourself,
over there.
So you're by yourself,
no,
obviously.
we were with my mom, because they requested
wanted
us
to meet
to
your
come
family?
home with my mom and my dad.
Wow, that's respectable, yeah.
So that because when you're not married in their religion, your parents speak for you.
Gotcha.
You know, and that's the way they deal with the marriage. It's the kids don't know what they're doing until they learn the lessons of life between being married.
Right.
And I could actually,
that's where they see, that's basically their view of where you learn life.
Yes.
Is marriage.
Yes, absolutely. And I can't deny that. I've learned many lessons of life during marriage, especially self-sacrifice.
Mm-hmm.
The eternal, unconstitutional love, or unconditional love, should I mean. It's awesome. It's different. It teaches you differently. But she really fell in love with me, and we fell in love with each other, and our family got along. We agreed to get married, and we had an engagement party 1 year later after that date that we met.
And everything going good with the family.
Everything was going good. They requested us not to meet together very often, unless it be under the supervision of their parents, or between, I'd have to have her brother here, or her father, or two of her sisters, to be able to hang out with me.
Gotcha.
Because they believe things that if you're not with that many people,
basically.
if you're together by yourselves, you can be open to sinning. And that's what they believe. And I respected all of that. I respected all of that for her, because, that's, how dare I disrespect what her, her beliefs.
Absolutely.
You know what I mean? So
very
it was,
nice of you.
I always respect that.
So you guys get married, and your child's 5. You were in the military. Now, what branch?
I was in the Army.
Okay. Now, when do you go into the Army?
I went into the Army before I met my wife.
Before, so she didn't experience the military.
Nope. I
Okay.
graduated high school, a tech school, with an electrical background, and I got into an apprenticeship the summer I graduated, which was 2007, and I joined the Army National Guard. I joined the Army National Guard in about September of 2007. I enlisted in September, and I swore my oath into the Army National Guard. I didn't know what I was getting into. My recruiter had told me that I'd just be here in the state, and I'd be here, just being part of a rescue team, and I fell for it. And I ended up joining.
You think that's something they do often is bullshit?
Absolutely. I ended up being part of the infantry mortars, which you
have no say in what
I had no idea what it was until I was there, but it was awesome anyway. It was the most badass job I've ever done in my life.
Yeah, it's good that you made something positive out
hell
of it.
Yeah, oh my God. I know how to
Well, how was what did you do? What was your expertise, and where did you go?
My expertise was mortars. I trained here stateside. I didn't really do anything cool. I did something on the Canadian border, which wasn't a big deal either. Out of Fort Drum. It wasn't anything crazy. I've never seen anything crazy, and I'm glad I didn't. But I have battle buddies who have, and it's unfortunate that they've gone through, the horrors of war and things like that. I really feel for those guys. I've been there for guys like that. I've let my house open for battle buddies who have come back messed up. And it's all right. Listen, I understand. There's still bad experiences I get, every now and then, like from just serving in general, just the being away from your family, the loneliness, you get all that. Your battle buddies are there for you, and it's great, but sometimes you need just that family behind you. You're away from that while you're serving.
That's a big support system in anybody's life, and to not have that at your fingertips is not normal. And I think that's something that a lot of Americans take for granted. They don't realize it until it's not there. And we have people that are doing this, volunteering to do this, so that we can be with our families all the time, and they're not. And we just can't respect that. At least some of us out here don't for some reason.
I missed 5 Christmases. I've missed 3 Thanksgivings. I've missed 2 4th of Julys. I've missed a birthday. Missed my anniversary. I've missed a lot of things. My parents' anniversary, or my parents' birthdays, or...
When did you get out of there?
I went from 2007 to 2013. My initial training was out of Fort Benning, Georgia. Home of the infantry hall. I just came up here, and I was training between Fort Dix, New Jersey, Fort Drum, Spot in Mass. It's good. I mean, I've been all over. Fort Polk, even there.
So was your experience in the military a positive one, do you think?
No, not really. It wasn't, because today's mission of America isn't what I consider a cause for going to war. It felt good to serve my country and my people, but I'm not for a pointless war. And it's a pointless war. It really is, in my honest opinion.
And what's your belief on that? Why do you say that?
It's pointless because the problems aren't where we are right now. The problems are elsewhere. Like
that is true.
Like, I'll give you an example. Recently we had this Soleimani commander from Iran assassinated by the United States. That was a strategic plan, but
you agree with that?
The way they did it, you see, I have a military mind. I would understand where they're coming from, but that man had caused, a lot of deaths, for U.S. soldiers, and
even their own people,
even their own people, and even other nations, and other atrocities. He was the mastermind behind. So, I feel like it was the right thing to do for him to be there. That was a just cause. But when I was in service, it was all about Afghanistan.
And you served under what president?
I served under Obama, and which I really didn't like. I really got out of service because of him. The rules that he was changing in the military, I felt like it wasn't the military anymore. I felt like it was being bent too far to the left. There are things. I do respect women, as people have heard me on this show, but there are things that I feel strongly against when serving in combat, especially when men are at play. You cannot have men in the field in combat positions while their emotions are compromised. And that's what relationships do. Has nothing to do with a woman not being able to do the job, because women are actually quite able to do many jobs, very, very many jobs, especially jobs that men can do, and sometimes even better.
Absolutely.
Especially in the medical industry. Oh my God, the medical industry is
dominated. They really
are
the backbone to the doctors.
They really are. It's unbelievable. But in combat, it's different. Men dominate that because men are extremely efficient at it. It's what's been done in history. I think that this experiment of trying to allow those things to intermingle is dangerous to our society and our existence. It's not going to be a good thing for anybody.
Is there no rules where they're not supposed to have relationships with each other?
Yes, absolutely. You're not supposed to have conjugal relationships with any soldiers across
But
seas.
people obviously don't listen.
Yes, they do. That's why they have protection in the PX.
What's that? What's that?
The postal exchange.
Oh, what do you mean?
That's
Like
place
mail and
like a
shit?
commissary. That's where you get all your.
So what you're saying
groceries
that most people
on the base?
Yeah, but what I'm asking you is, do most people comply with
No.
not having relationships with other?
No, you
military
just
people?
don't talk about it.
Yeah.
You know, like people end up, you just can't be stupid because there are penalties that you can pay if you become pregnant.
But
across
what your
seas,
point is your point is basically that, people that are having those relationships while out in combat, and then they're getting into arguments or
Yes,
whatever.
exactly.
That now their emotions are
Exactly.
their head is not in the
now
game.
your mind is not into defending the United
Very true.
States.
I never
your
looked
mind
at it
is
like
now into, oh my God, this cook I've been messing with for the past 2 months. she's thinking about divorcing her husband at home. I'm thinking about leaving my wife in 6 months. It's gonna work out.
Yeah.
Things
Can't
start
be
to
thinking
play
about
with
that
your
stuff,
mind
yeah.
because you're away from home. You're in a stressful environment. You're doing things that you're not used to.
Mm-hmm.
You're not thinking clearly. So why even put those kind of things at risk? But
Interesting point.
not
Yeah,
to
I
say
respect
that women
point.
can't do the job, because they
Right.
could absolutely do it. I just feel like they should have a separate platoon or something.
True.
You want a squad of infantry women out there? Absolutely, but keep them separate from the men. That way, the men
That would
don't,
be an interesting
and the women don't
experiment.
get
I'd like to see
that's
how
how
that
I
works.
feel.
I'd
Not
like
to
to
be
see
all
that, yeah.
for segregation, but this is national security here. This is not our comfort zone.
Right. Right.
Combat and war and conflict is not comfortable. So you can't expect the human being to be comfortable in the conflict. If you expect comfort out of it, stay home.
True.
That's how I feel.
So you have your military experience. You get out of the military. What happens now? Obviously, we know the story. You meet your wife, but what's going on in your personal life outside of the new marriage and leaving the military?
I graduated high school with an electrical background.
Trade school? Did you go to a trade school?
Yeah, I went to a trade school.
That's so like interesting, because I don't meet a lot of people that have done that in high school. So that's an interesting choice. Did you make that choice?
I made that choice because my dear uncle, God rest his soul, he was a master electrician, and I wanted to be just like him. And
great.
Ever since I was like 12 years old. So I decided to go to a tech school, and hey, listen, I want to be an electrician. So I remember my freshman year we applied. It was a state program. My mother had, forked up, $450 worth of money to get my tools for school, and this was in, I gotta say, 2004. So $450 back then was quite a bit to pay,
True.
especially for a woman who's making $12 an hour working at Bradley's.
Bradley's,
Which my
sure.
mom went into the medical profession. She worked her way up. She became a nuclear medicine technologist
Oh shit!
for
Now,
the VA hospital. Actually,
wow, is that? Do you think that she's where you get your work ethic from?
Absolutely. It wasn't my father. I don't know my biological father. I do know of him. He was a police officer and had became a lawyer. And being a lawyer, he was pretty slick. So he disappeared from the picture, and that was that.
Really?
Yeah.
Where was he supposed to be out of? This area?
Yes.
And you've never had any contact with him ever?
He had an accident which barred him from duty. He had a bad motorcycle accident, damaged his head, and he became a lawyer, but he had something was wrong with him, and he did some bad things, and he ended up in jail for abusing people.
Really?
And yes, it screwed him up. The accident screwed him up.
Now, was he abusing people in a manner of like fraud or
no? He
physically?
He sexually abused a 20-year-old and a 21-year-old girl.
Wow.
He wasn't right.
And now you think that was the accident that
I
caused
really
that?
did
Yeah.
think so, because
I could see that.
they
brains.
suffered major head trauma,
Yeah,
and he was in a coma for a month.
Wow.
So it really, it screwed him up.
Mm-hmm.
And he,
So now
he
what
went
happens?
to jail. He went
Yeah,
to jail.
that's what I was gonna say. Did
went
he
to
go to
jail.
jail?
He
Is
was
he
in
still
jail
incarcerated?
for no, he's out today, but he had served about 16 years.
Damn, that's long. That's a
Yeah.
good sentence right there.
Yeah,
Shit.
he did a lot. He was he lost his mind. And,
Now, what about now? Is he still?
I don't know
out?
anything about him. I know that he's out and he's handicapped.
Uh-huh.
I heard that he's getting older and his
How does
conditions are.
How has that? Because here's the deal. It's interesting for me when I speak to people who's had situations where their childhood isn't the norm. You know what I'm saying?
No, it's not.
And
But
those people, though, to me, are the most interesting and usually the most creative, hardworking, and thoughtful people with hearts, because they've had to go through some fucking shit, and it wasn't. They knew that they didn't have that norm, and even for me, like, even though my dad was a good dad when I was young, and I still saw him, and he lived in a different state. So for me, that wasn't normal to be going on a plane to visit your dad for a whole month in a different state, even though I was still seeing him. It wasn't a normal situation. But it made me the man I am now, you know what I'm saying? And I meet a lot of people that have similar situations like that now, especially for our generation.
Speak of dads, man I called dad today, I call him Jojo. He stepped into my mother's life when she was 5 months pregnant. So, what kind of man does that? Is going to take care of another man's seed. Like, that's something that it's unnatural. It's unheard of. It's almost biblical to do that.
It's
and
definitely
he did
uncommon. It's definitely uncommon.
He fell in love with my mother, and he put everything to the side, and he took care of me as I was his, man. And I thank God for him.
That's great that you were able to still have that
A dad,
figure.
absolutely.
Yeah, that's
I had
important.
a dad, man.
Great.
Not just a father. I had a dad.
Yeah, that's
you know,
great. That's
there's a big difference between that. A father could be any stupid fool out there.
Mm-hmm.
All you need is a sperm cell.
Uh-huh.
You know what I mean? That's it. That's all you do, homeboy. That's all you need.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? But no, it takes something else to be a dad.
True
You
that.
know what I mean?
Yeah, I see a lot of people's flaws and issues come from childhood stuff, but that's where it either makes you or breaks you.
Well, that's what made me, because I didn't want to be like my parents struggling. I didn't want to be like my dad.
Mm-hmm.
I always said I want to be better. I want to be like my uncle. He's cool. He's doing electrical. So
you get into the electrical, and
I get into electrical, and it wasn't working out. I got laid off. I worked at a factory for 2 years making cable. That I got tired of making the same amount of money. I applied at a commercial electrical firm. My first job in electrical was a residential, and I was doing houses, just carrying tools out of the van for the electrician.
and what were you, apprentice
I
type?
was an apprentice. That was it. I was
Yeah.
just grabbing materials for the guys. Hey, go give me a drill. Hey, go give me 3/16. I'll go bring back the wrong size. I didn't know any better.
Yeah.
But I had to learn and then be like, oh, come on, kid, what are you, dumb? Go back. Go get it again. And I go, ooh, okay, I got to go get it. So, it was a learning experience. And then I started getting experience, and they started giving me little projects. Altogether, I had to do 800 hours of schooling, and I had to do 8,000 hours of on-the-job training under a licensed electrician.
And that's to get your license.
Yes, and then apply for a state test to get.
What
your
does that
license.
test entail? Like, you actually have to do
questions in 3.5 hours.
just questions. You don't have to do any actual
Math and calculations, yes, absolutely.
No, I'm talking like actual electrical work.
No,
Yeah.
you don't have to do that. You just have to be able to navigate through the National Electrical Code and be able to tell if something is going to be out of code or not.
Gotcha.
You got to be able to make decisions. You got to be able to make choices on what kind of cable you're going to use to hook something up. There's a lot that goes in it. It's not just... There's a lot of people... I love the people, the backyard guys who go, oh, it's just a black wire and a white wire and a ground. And I go, yeah, that's awesome. And they go, yeah, you just hook it up to the white wire and hook it up to the black wire. I'm like, yep, you know electrical, absolutely. Yeah, but they don't know what the size of the wire is there for. They don't know what the outlet needs to be rated at. They don't even know what the freak is going to be plugged into the wall at that location.
True.
Well, you know, an electrician does.
True.
You know, they look at blueprints and they look at things that, you know, need to be looked at before you go ahead and install such a product.
So you are working this new job. You get your license. You pass the test.
Yep.
What happens now?
I was supposed to stay at the job that I got my apprenticeship through, and me and the boss had a deal of me getting paid $28 an hour, and I looked at my check and it was only 26. So
Really?
you know, and you know, listen, not to bite the hand that feeds me, but you know, a deal's a deal.
Absolutely.
And, you know,
Yeah.
I walked
Respect
right off
that.
the job for him. That was it. I walked off the job. He was paying me $19 an hour as a fourth-year apprentice, and I was breaking my back for that money, traveling all over the place for him. I was barely making my mortgage, you know, so the jump was supposed to be good for me. I asked him for a raise, and he was like, oh, listen, I promise you 28 when you get your license. So that didn't happen. Yeah, the very next job after that, I got a job that was way more money, double that money.
Wow.
And, you know, I did that for a while, you know, about a year. And,
You know, most
they
people wouldn't do that. They would never walk off a job. They don't have the balls to do that.
They don't. Listen, you know, when you know what your worth is and you feel it in your gut, I know I can do better than this. I know I know it.
Yeah.
Something's wrong here. You're probably right. There's no, your gut won't lie to you in a situation like that. You know, it's like, shit, you know, why am I struggling and why is that person successful? Well, because they had the balls to leave the last job they didn't like.
True.
You know?
True. And you need to know your value. You need to know what you're worth, because if not, they will take advantage of you. Any boss nowadays, it's very hard to find a really good one, and when you do, they're usually succeeding and thriving business. But those leadership skills are necessary, and a lot of them don't really have that. They have more of the power hungry type skills, which definitely defeats the whole purpose of trying to progress that business and people in general. But so you start doing these different types of jobs now. Was that job that you got a permanent job?
No. They slowed down. They, you know, companies do that, especially in the trades industry. You know, they told me, hey, listen, you know, we're slowing down for the winter. You know, we'll call you in the spring if we need you. You know, we're up to like 16 guys at the moment.
So what do you do during that? You just kind of
I
you're
saved
laid
up
off.
enough money and I stayed home for 5 months.
Now you're not one of those guys that goes out and gets unemployment.
No, I got unemployment.
Yeah.
To help pay the mortgage.
Yeah, that's-
you know,
I mean,
because it's a benefit that I could use. You know,
respectable.
and you know, my wife wasn't, you know, working at the time, so
That's
the
something
only
that
thing
I
that
feel
we, you know.
it's necessary. Like, I could see that our tax money
Yeah,
goes to that.
dude, I even had to collect the
fine.
WIC and everything when I got laid off.
Okay,
You
that's
know,
good.
you know, I had to.
It's
I,
good
you know, I
it's
didn't
good to
have
see
any
that
choice.
at least somebody that deserved it and really needed
Yeah,
it
I
getting
wasn't
it.
making any money. They took. Oh my god, unemployment isn't anything.
It's nothing.
They
$400 or $500 a month.
They max you
Or
out.
a week.
they max you out, and then your mortgage and your bills, they suck all that up real quick.
Oh God, yeah.
So like it's not like you're out there going to restaurants. It's not like you're going out buying
you're not doing
shit
nothing
for your house.
Yeah.
You're not doing nothing, and you can't even. You go to Wick, you can't even pick the product that you get. They pick it for you.
Really?
Yeah, no, they pick it for you. Well, now they changed it up, but we don't have Wick anymore. Thank God. But now I pay into it.
You're right. You're right about that, because the system's really like crazy how it works with the food stamps and the welfare and stuff.
But then the minute that I went back to work, we no longer use it.
I'm glad that it was put to use by somebody who needed it and actually deserved it.
We used it for 5 months, and that was that, because we weren't working. But the minute that I went back to work, we don't use it, because it's wrong. You know what I'm saying?
Well, and you see a lot of abuse of that.
It's wrong, man. Other people need it. You know what I'm saying?
I can't. It's very hard when you get to this age and you can start to put things in perspective of what's really going on out there in the world, and you see all the fraud that's going on. You have to worry about your bank card account. You know what I mean? Like you can't. You go to you might go get gas and your whole bank account can be drained out.
Yeah, it
it's
happens.
Wild, dude, and it's
happens.
How do you protect yourself from all this stuff now? You really can't. I mean,
you just gotta have backup plans.
Oh man, I mean, granted, most of the banks they will front you back the money or
have a credit card in your pocket.
It's just it's crazy
with a zero old balance on it.
It's crazy because people don't have that work ethic anymore. I feel like there's a lot of reasons for that. The government being one of them. I think they want us overworked.
They do. They absolutely do. The government doesn't want us to be united. They don't want us to be happy. You
can't control when people are happy.
It's not that. They want one thing. They want money, resources, and power. That's it. That's all they want. And that's okay. But we got to kind of wake up and smell the coffee a little bit.
Well, yeah. The problem is everything we are inputting into our mind, for the most part, not everybody, but most people in society, is they're getting their information from the wrong places. And the majority of the information that they're seeing, because everything's visual now, or they believe everything they see for the most part, especially if it goes with their views. But what's happening is all this negative input and all this hatred and division and whatever is just constant everywhere in everything.
Like, it sucks because I've seen the very best in humans, and I've also seen the very worst.
Yeah.
And I really do feel like we could solve a lot more by being the very best we can be, not the very worst. I don't know. It's something as simple as somebody stopping on the side of the road and giving $1 to the guy who needs it,
Yeah. I mean, I've certainly seen a lot of the other side, and that's where I think people... It's hard for me, too, because I know there's a lot of society that hasn't seen what I've seen. The other side of the spectrum, what's really going on in the inner cities, and
yeah.
You know what I mean? Like, there's a lot of society that hasn't seen it, and when they even hear stories about it, they're shocked. I can't even imagine if they really saw it. So, it's just, there's a lot of misinformation going around. And that's just sad. It's just sad to see people kind of fall into that sheep mentality,
Yeah, like this I do everything all on my own for me, and that's it. Like that's
there's a lot of selfishness.
There's
out
a
there.
lot, and that's not the way to be. Like, you can't listen. You could be selfish as far as like your money goes, as far as whatever your food goes, your home. That's cool, but don't be selfish to society. You got to contribute.
Yeah, absolutely.
You have to. You can't 100%. Just sit home and expect society to take care of you.
Yeah.
You need to get out there and you need to take care of yourself, and it's totally possible.
It's very possible.
That factory that I worked at, I was making $12 an hour, and I worked with some guys. Some guys today have seen me. Actually, 2 days ago, I saw 2 people who worked at that factory, and they actually have college degrees, and they were making more money than me at the time. They were making $14, $15 an hour. I was like, oh shit, I want to be like them guys. Yeah. I surpassed them.
Yeah, you now work for where?
I work for a utility company.
Yes, like similar to United Illuminating, but not them.
No, more like NSTAR.
What's the difference?
Northeast Utilities.
Oh, okay.
You know what I'm saying?
Yeah. Like utility,
a big utility company.
Gotcha, a big one. So they're basically controlling all the electric systems.
They control the electricity in about 3 states.
Okay,
and hoping to expand.
Now that's a really good job. Obviously, good benefits, good pay. You're doing something where you're in a union. That's great to have that protection, benefits, all that stuff. Now, I know that I've seen you work your way into that position, and it wasn't easy.
No, it wasn't. I had to do a lot of sacrificing, especially my apprenticeship. You couldn't even show up to the interview of the job that I have right now unless you had your license and 2 years of experience at the very least. And it had to be good, positive experience with a good background check. You had to make sure your taxes were all up to date. You had to be a good squared away individual. Mm-hmm. And, I tried my best to, keep up with everything. I followed the rules, man, and I got in.
You had some downfalls where you were working jobs that didn't work out. And these are things that people can't really get over.
Yep, I have failed. Oh, my God, I have failed a multitude of times. I have failed, but I've never been afraid of failing.
That's a great thing, yeah.
I've never been afraid of failing.
Yep.
I can fail today. There's things that you can fail every day, but you can't be afraid of it.
We probably all do a little bit every day.
And that's more what holds people back, is that they're afraid it
100%.
won't work out.
100%.
No, go for it. Take the leap. If it works out, it works out.
You really
if
don't learn anything if you don't fail. You can't learn if you don't fail.
Failure is an awesome teacher because it teaches you humility about yourself.
Yeah.
Not about the next person. It teaches you humility about yourself.
Yeah.
An example, you think you got it, you think you had it going on, and all of a sudden, bang, you get hit with a fail. And you thought you were above it. No, not at all. Everybody can fail. And all you got to do is just pick yourself back up and put yourself back on that track and try harder. And you'll get there. Just keep trying. Don't give up.
Well, you had that experience, no?
Absolutely. I got fired. It's funny. I crashed a company truck. Any guy listening to this who's in the trades, they know. Listen, I had just had my daughter. This is just over 2 years, just about 2 years ago. I just had my daughter. I wasn't sleeping very much. I was working 58 hours a week on average. Some weeks it'd be 50 hours, some weeks it'd be 60. Yeah. I was beat, dude. And I took a 9'12" box truck under a 9'11" underpass. All right, if you could do the math, it doesn't add up. So I scraped the top off of a truck, and my boss goes, Louis, what the hell's going on here? And I admitted it to him, listen, I'm tired, I'm sorry. He didn't have any signs or anything posted inside of his vehicle, which was illegal, by the way. It was illegal. But anyway, I took the blame, and, he was just like, oh, listen, man, I gotta lay you off, man, and that was it. So I climbed through a couple ladders of employment. When I got my journeyman's license, that's why they call it a journeyman's, because you go through a multitude of employers learning different disciplines of your field. So you could be working for a fire alarm company for a year, and then working for a high voltage company for 2 years, and then working for a security alarm company for 5 years, and then working for a fiber optic company for
You're
3
bouncing
years.
around.
Yes, and that makes you a journeyman. It makes you a well-rounded electrician.
That's very true.
So,
Yeah.
you know, and it just, all those things that I went through, it built me up to get to where I'm at today. And I thank God for those experiences and those failures, because if they weren't there, I wouldn't have the motivation to get to where I'm at today. You know, it was a kick in the balls. You know, it hurts when you fail, dude.
Yeah.
You feel like crap. You feel, oh, what the fuck? Like, yo, I tried so hard. You know, I studied, or, you know, I trained. Yo, you know what? Train harder.
Everything
Study
does
harder.
happen for a reason.
It does.
It does. And people don't really get to that point because they think that failure is like such a negative thing in their life that they can't get over it. But the fact of the matter is that the world really puts those things in your place for a reason. It wants to see how you're going to react to it. So what I mean by that is, if you keep doing the same thing over and over and over again, the world's going to keep putting those things in your path, and you're going to keep handling them the same way. You're never going to get to where you need to get to. The world wants you to handle that in a different way, and that different way is your path. You know what I'm saying? And that's where you finally was able to get to. You know, and I feel like the reason why I have you on is because you're one of those people that I came across in the past couple of years of my life where I've seen you in a downward place, and I now see you in a area of your life that you spoke about and had goals to get to, and now I see you there, and I love that shit, dude. I love that shit.
Thank
I love
you.
that.
Thank you. I appreciate it, man. And you know, likewise too, man. You know, you've set a lot of goals, and you know, you've achieved them very precisely. And you know, you're the kind of people that I like to be with. You know, like-minded. You know, where you see an opportunity in everything you do, not just you know, hey, where is my opportunity? No, that's not the way it works. You need to make it.
So true.
And that's
so
what
true.
you do, Jay. You made your own opportunities, and like myself, and like many other people can out there, you know, you do have the courage to do so. Just go ahead and do it. Don't be afraid. It's not going to be the end of the world if you trip and fall on your face. It's for you to get up and keep going. It's not for you to sit there and give up and expect somebody to lift you. It's for you to get up and go yourself.
Absolutely. Absolutely. And, you know, I'm very happy to have you here. This is our second episode. I hope people enjoyed this episode. And we're going to keep bringing stuff like this to you. I want people to know that we don't need to be following celebrities and, you know, all these people on television or social media to understand how we need to act in society. You need to make your own way. You need to fail during that and learn from it and chase your goals and achieve those. It's possible. And these are the people that we're going to bring on that I look at, and I've seen them have those goals and have that ambition. And I knew that eventually they would get it, because people that are always talking about them usually get what they want, because that means it's on their mind. And that's a good start. So we want you to always achieve your goals. We want you to have them on your mind all the time, from the day the second you wake up there in the morning to the end of the day. So remember these things. Lewis, thanks for coming on the show, man. It was awesome.
Thank you,
very,
Jason.
very proud of you, dude. I've seen you, you know, have some down days, and I've seen you have some unbelievable days. You've celebrated birthdays with me, and you've been there when I needed you the most for tough times in my life, and especially when my electricity went out. So anybody who needs electricity, this dude is the man, all right? But thank you, guys. I hope you had a good time. Lewis, have a good night, all right, man?
Take care, Jason.
All right.
Have a good night.
Good night, guys.